Hey, welcome, all my right thinkers. Thanks for tuning in to check out your boy, B-Funk, out here in my church clothes doing what I do for you. I got something nice for you. I was shut down. I ran out of tape materials, so another technical malfunction. So I'm going to pick it back up when I start up. I got to do my thing. Rightism, 24 hours live by. Storyteller, story with a message. Message and story for life. I give life lessons. I appreciate you tuning in and receiving them. We got a good thing going. Let's rock. Right Thinker's mission, and that's what I'm on, is to enlighten, inspire, educate, and motivate you, the individual, to a higher spiritual level of enlightenment. Right Thinker's way of life through mental and spiritual discipline daily will help and guide you to obtain your goal of spiritual enlightenment, aka know thyself. That's my mission, to get all right thinkers to know thyself. I got the information, I got the ways and the means to make that happen for you. All you got to do is tune in and use it. Let's go. It's all for you. I asked the question, do you know you? It's rhetorical, but if you don't have the answer for yourself, tune in. I can help you with that. That's what I do for you, help you to know you. A person who knows not and knows not that they know not is foolish. Disregard them. A person who knows not and knows that they know not is simple. You teach them. That's why I do what I do for you. Appreciate you too. Stay tuned. I got more for you. A person who knows not and believes and think that they know is dangerous. Avoid them. I do. A person who knows and knows not that they know is spiritually asleep. I can awaken them. I'm the spiritual alarm clock here to wake you up with knowledge of self. A person who knows and knows that they know is wise. Follow them. All these persons reside in you. Right thinkers, know thyself. And to my eye, be true. I'm picking up where I left off at before I was rudely interrupted by my tape running out of time, I guess. So I had to reset, erase some things. So let me go back to where I ended up. Remember, God within us judges us. The God outside you, there's no God outside you. So you are the judge of you. Now, this is an objective judgment, which only the individual is responsible for it, and it occurs at the unconscious level of the mind, and beyond, of course, it's beyond interference from who? Your person's personality or your ego self, conscious, which is on the surface level of the mind. So therefore, here we go. However, one's conscious desires to what? To go to heaven. Oh, I want to go to heaven. But how'd you live? So wanting to go somewhere at the time of death, or one's conscious repentance at the time of death for what? The misdeeds, the wrongdoings. A little late. Bedside confessions ain't going to get you in. Lifelong deeds will. Trust me. So moving on. So you repenting for your misdeeds in life cannot and will not overcome the weight of your RE, your life's actions. I'm just calling the way it is. If you messed over people for 40 years and the day you about to die because you know it's about the time, I'm sorry. That's not going to get it done. This is why they tell you your actions, your RE doing what? Life, the contents of your heart. And if you're a bad person, your heart is going to be heavy. Moving on. But the idea is to what? For right thinkers, watch this. Your RE done make something. Your RE, which is the definition, is action, things done. You make something, you did something, your deed. So along with RE comes what? Karma. Here we go. There she go. She's going to be there. That means what your action was doing life. You get that at Judgment Day. So one has set up what? Your whole during your lifetime, you setting up your karma. So what? It is important. You should understand right thing is this is why I want to start young. To begin what? Now doing what? To purify your heart and cleanse the soul so that at judgment time you will become what? Makaru, meaning true of speech and pure heart. By selfish service, living righteous and virtuous lifestyle. He didn't do that. So he ain't going to make it. It's just that simple. Love you, Dad. But what's this? At the time of death, you want to be able to speak Makaru. The judges and the gods and goddesses are what? Cosmic forces, which they only facilitate the process. But from a mythological and a philosophical standpoint, they are concepts for understanding the mystical philosophy of the teachings. We're trying to set you up, prepare you for what we think you're going to happen. Once the judgment, once judgment has been rendered, the goddess takes over and appoints what? The person's future family, place of birth, your social status, etc. So they're going to decide which next life you're going to have because you didn't do it right in this one, so they're going to try to help you out a little bit. That's what the concept I get from this. What's this? So this is not meant as a punishment, see, but as a process of what? Leading the soul to the appropriate place where they can grow spiritually. If before you die, what's this? You desire to be a musician, okay, stuff got happening to make it. And the goddess, what? She will send you into a country or family where the circumstances where the desires that you pursue can be met if you follow through with it in the next life. If you were a mugger, what's this? Here you go. In the past life, we know stick up men did that too. You will end up with in a place in a situation where what you will experience pain and suffering such as you cause to others, aka you will experience what? Being mugged. Why? So this will teach you to what? Act otherwise in what? Your future life. We come here to learn who we are. Simple as that. So, and the things you do while you're here will dictate what happens furthermore. Either reincarnate, get enlightened, go home. The name of the game is right thinkers. We're going to go home. So watch this. So thus improving your future birth will happen so that you will after this and within the preview of your own free will and your actions in this new lifetime will engender and determine the next life, so forth and so on, until what? You learn your lesson. It's not going to change. Understand that. But this is the process of what? Excuse me. You got to engender, determine next life, but you got Miss Kenneth. She represents destiny of birth. Miss Kenneth is the manifestation of what? One's Shah, which is your own Nefer. And that means Nefer is positive destiny. You do right, get positive reaction, right? Or your Shah Mit. That is negative destiny. This is one's harvest. Or what? What one reaps from what their action, aka you reap what you sow. That's what it's all about. And this is the process leading to Remember that? Reincarnation. The object is to lead ones into a process of increasing what? Better birth situation and the possibility for them to gain what? Spiritual enlightenment, and by keeping company with a sage or a saint who can lead a person to what? Self-discovery. That's my job. And watch this. Re'ab. That means when a person achieves what? Self-enlightenment, spiritual enlightenment, or what they call it, self-discovery. They are referred to as the what? Ak, A-K-H. That means what? An enlightened being. Okay? That's what right thinkers want to end up. First, a person must what? Become virtuous, because this what? Being virtuous, doing the right thing for the right reason, is how you purify one's heart with action. And thus, the IRI, which is karma, basis. If you have negative action, that leads to negative situations, but also to mental dullness. And it is hard what? To understand the teachings that's being presented to you when what? When the mind is in a dull state, ignorant of the base and thoughts and desires and feelings. They only want what the body desires, and that's all physical. So they're not listening to higher radiant consciousness with learning. What's this? So this is the opposite of what? Re'ab. That means gaining knowledge. It may be referred to as what? Inset. That means a mind afflicted by fetters of set. Again, self-inflicted problems. There is much mental agitation and a lot of suffering. What? But the positive karmic bases allow what? Harmonious surroundings when at birth into the family of what? Spiritually minded people, as well as the company of sages, but most importantly, the clarity of mind to understand the wisdom teachings must be adhered to. If the soul is judged to be what? Pure, right thinkers, that's what you want. In reference to what? Mayat, what happened? It will not be led to what? Reincarnation. Hello, you stop the process of reincarnation. In Kemetic term, ankh. But to the inner shrine, you want, like I say, Osiris is sitting on the throne. Once you come to that door, he already know where what? Where it meets its own who? Higher self, aka Asar, God, Asar. The soul meets Asar, who what? The supreme being. Your individual Ba gets to meet its universal Ba, Son, Father. This meeting what? Ends any future possibilities of what? Reincarnation. That means you're home. You made it. It means becoming, listen, one with the divine self. It is termed, you ready? Ready? Nihas. That's my word. Resurrection, in essence, the Asarian resurrection story. This is the only way to break the cycle of reincarnation. And when Christ told you this is the only way to the Father, that's what he was saying. Okay, so I get it. So I read and wrap it up. I read what karma is not destiny, but it's the accumulated unconscious impressions from desires, thoughts, and feelings of what? The past, the present, and the previous lives. You still got some residue hanging over. You hear that word residue? That's old memory. And not to set destiny, what? Not a set destiny, excuse me, but a person can what? Listen, a person can change. The young guy, that was me. Their irony by what? By their present actions. I'm doing now. The individual is always what? Responsible for the present by the actions they performed previously, which led them to what? The place where they are today. You are calling the shot, so to speak. So external factors can affect one's life, but what's this? One is still what? In control. Told you. Ultimately, of the response to those externalities of life, other people, circumstances, etc. However, the present is not set. Otherwise, people could not change and they would be destined to what? Suffer or be happy based on some perverse comic joke. It is not like that. God has provided free will. That thing that's on here called the brain, the mind. I'm about to give a lesson on that too. God provided free will, and with it, a person what? Can have a glorious, full life of what? Wisdom, prosperity, or a life of, you ready? Strife, suffering, and frustration. Your choice. Based on what? Egoism and the egoistic desires and the actions of one choices. If you choose the egoistic route, there's a price to pay. The ancient Egyptian word for Mishkenet is based on the word what? Mishkin. Mishkin means birthing place. That's why she turned to the birth from birth because she's there. Thus, Mishkenet is the goddess cosmic force which what? Which presides over the Mishkin or all newborn souls. She makes effective what? A person's desires and unconscious inclinations by what? By placing a person who is to be reincarnated into what? The appropriate circumstances for the what? New life based on the previous actions and future potential. So we always can do better. That's why they give you reincarnate, give you a chance to do it again. Okay? They call it a mulligan. Now, I'm going to wrap that up because now we're going to Appendix 2. This the title is, well, what is IREU? IREU. A-R-I with an E on it. Let's talk about that real quick and get that lesson out, and I'll be done for the day, and I'll see you in the morning. What is IREU? Aru. Okay. What we Netherlands call Aru. The U sounds like a double O, like ooh. So it's Aru. The Indian karma, and how does it operate in the relations to the human beings? Ari means deed, actions, etc. We got it. Now, when a person performs any Ari or deeds, those deeds have what? Impressions in the mind, a form of what? Residue. I told you about that earlier. The memory. The memory of the action does not stay in the mind intact, but the residue does. Fragments. The residue is composed of a vague memory or thoughts related to the action, a feeling related to it. Was it good or was it bad? That's the ego. It's going to critique everything that go on according to its likings, whether it's good or bad for it. Watch this. And there is a small portion of life force energy associated with everything you do. So your Ariu are what? The accumulated IRE. That means all your actions. Now, if a sufficient number of IREO impressions are retained, a person develops what? Strong feelings toward the actions or objects associated with the action. Now it's about to get tricky. A person may repudiate some object or action or may love it without even recalling an exact memory of it. That's the residue and is responsible, and it can what? Carry over from previous life to life. Again, when you reincarnate stuff you can from previous life, that's what they're telling you. So the feeling, watch this, of the Ariel can be powerful enough to what? To impel a person towards a certain action. Here we go. Those bad thoughts, negative thoughts, if you don't act on them, they keep going. But when you bring them bad thoughts to action, here you go. That is to what? Have a desire for something. We all do. But the accumulated energy can become what? Powerful enough to compel a person to do the action related to that desire. This is why people do what they do. How can they do that? In their mind, something triggered them to do that. So watch this. So being able to controlling what impressions or your aerial residue go into what? Go into and become what? Lodged in the unconscious mind. Watch this. And it's very important to understand the impure mind, bad thoughts, full of worldly aerial will lead a person, watch this, to ignorant negative thoughts. There you go. Aerial remains what? Dormant in the mind until what? Stimulated by objects or actions in the external world of its, or if strong enough, they awaken via internal activation by the force of the desire. You may want it so bad when a guy got the hots for some woman, he's going to take it. That's great. That's in his mind, he's going to get what he wants. That's crazy, but that's what it does. That's just an example. So until they what? Until they remain latent or inactive, which is thoughts, that is the storehouse of what? Or content of a person's unconscious mind. So a person that may appear to be, well, here we go, this is the good part. Now, when a person seems to be balanced, virtuous, or pure, may contain what? Those areas, in their unconscious mind, and they still need to be purified. I mean, they got to purge, they got to get it out. Now, that person may achieve advancement in some areas, but if the worldly, here you go, Ario is not cleansed, what happened? They may be pulled back. Got weak. I fell off the wagon. Down to what? To their worldly desires and activities. Flesh desires. Watch this. And here we go. This has happened to many people. Some of the more popular examples, there you go, are your tele-evangelists, sound familiar, and your preachers, bishops, or even your Catholic priests with the little boys who seem to be holy and pious and pulpit and all that stuff, and yet are later what? Caught with prostitutes, molesting little boys, stealing church funds, etc. You see where we're going? So anybody above that is all in the individual. So it is important to what? To follow the prescribed path under proper guidance to what? Achieve true cleaning. Following following the disciplines should be done under the guidance of a qualified spiritual preceptor, aka sage. So what? So that you, the aspirant right thinkers, may not go astray of the path while following my I'm here every day for you. Inbox, I'll answer any question you got. That's what I do for you. I'm about to wrap it up. Let's go. Yeah, I'll see. Now, as you know, the karmic seeds are actually impressions that's lodged in the unconscious mind, again, which arise from a person's what? Previous actions, previous thoughts and feelings, etc. But all prior, previous. Now, as such, they are infallible in their effect on the life of the human being. Why? Because they sprout in the form of desires, which in turn leads to bad thoughts, and these in turn lead to more bad actions, and these bad actions lead to more impressions, etc. You see where you're going with that? It's like a downhill. Once it starts, it just keeps going back. And what happens? The cycle feeds off itself. You don't start a situation that is going to go on its own now. And long as there is what? Ignorance. As long as you're ignorant to the problem that you're suffering through, you will continue to suffer through it. That's why to be ignorant, you need to have knowledge. But as long as there is ignorance, watch this, in the mind, as to one's true self, not knowing yourself, these impressions have control over your thoughts and your actions and even your destiny of an unenlightened being, meaning you're reckless. Even Jesus, Haru, Krishna, Buddha could not escape this karmic law. If you are ignorant, you cannot produce. When you get enlightened, you can be your best self. And all the people we just named are all anointed and enlightened by knowing themselves and knowing God. However, there is another rule of our real that the yogis from ancient times discovered. What's that? With the dawning of self-knowledge, what's this? The karmic seeds which would have sprouted as future thoughts, desires, they become what? Burnt up like popcorn. The seed in popcorn, once it burnt, that's it. Go. So this is the concept. Watch this. In your egoistic ways, when you become knowledge, the ignorant ways you had, like popcorn, be gone. Popcorn, watch this, cannot sprout anymore, and yet it can be eaten. Again, it serves a purpose and even enjoyed. But an ordinary human being is what? Constantly sowing seeds of what? Karmic entanglement. Ignorance, you're going to continue to do dumb stuff and continue to keep on having your karma come back and bite you in the tuchus. Watch this. Karmic entanglements, and while a sage, an enlightened person, lives like the popcorn, and at the end of his or her life, the last kernel is popped. And what happened? There is no more karmic seed to propel future desires and embodiments. So what that means? That would have come in the future. So if they were not true, then there would be no escape from the Aru. And there would be no purpose to what? Practice yoga, meditation, or have religion, etc. If everybody just do what they want to do, there would be no purpose for these things. Wrapping it up. Meditation does what? Here you go. It eradicates the Aru because it is like a light which is turned on in a dark room. Think of it in a dark room which is full of junk. But because it's in the dark, you don't know what's in there. But if the light is off and you enter the room, you're going to stumble, you're going to hit stuff, you know what? And ain't nothing to see. But when what happened? You turn the light on, now you can see your way, avoid trouble, and even clean the room out if that's what you choose to. But this is what meditation is. Meditation is the light in which shines in what? Your unconscious mind, doing what? Illuminating your true immortal self. So which is the reality what? Behind the desires, the cravings, and ignorance, which is blocking your awareness of your own spirit. That's the dark room concept. If you're ignorant, you're in the dark room. You don't know what's in there. You're stumbling and bumbling around, okay? That's your suffering and anger that you're going through on a regular basis. But impressions of what? Fear, limitations, mortality, hatred, pleasures, etc. are eradicated. Why? Because they cannot exist where? In the light of true nature. If you're ignorant, they can hang around in the dark. Cut the light on, they can't stay. Why? They got to go, which transcends them. What? Knowledge. Therefore, your arrow is burnt up. Here you go, like the popcorn of the sage. Now, your present embodiment continues in what? You exist as an ordinary human being, but your mind does not produce or harbor what? Illusions, aka karmic seed, negative thoughts. You live out the rest of your life popcorn and do not produce new seeds. And when you leave this earth, what happened? You have nothing to hold you here or simply divest you of your last drop of what? The physical body. When it goes to rest, the spirit is happy. Why? It's free. When it get enlightened, this becomes the spirit's tomb. Why? Because it can't wait for this to be done. Why? You can go home. Conception. Let me wrap it up for you. So therefore, enlightenment is above and beyond Aru, your action. And once an enlightened, the life of an enlightened person, what happened? Continues in accordance with his or her Aru, but the soul and the mind are no longer affected, by whatever does or does not happen thereafter. Once you're enlightened, whatever going, that's on you, but we know when this is over, we good. So even a sage, watch this, may get sick or may have financial ups and downs in life or may even experience many ordinary situations for the rest of his or her life, but due to the previous Aru, but the practice of the teachings mitigates the what? The negativity of those events, and in any case, an enlightenment prevents what? Suffering, and there is no karmic entanglements. You are getting what you deserve, which is blessings. Until you leave here, you're going to be covered by the good deeds that you put in. Again, thus in a state of ignorance, there you go, Haru in its purification are infallible, and there is what? No escape. Why? Because this state is controlled by ignorance. Conversely, the yoga teachings, right there in philosophy, which leads to what? Enlightenment, knowledge of self, are also infallible. Why? Because in that they eradicate the what? The cause of karmic purifications, in essence, ignorance of oneself. You combat that with knowledge of self. Get it? This is why the practice of right thinking philosophy, yoga disciplines is so important, because God's justice is not designed to produce suffering for every single mistake a person makes, but due to the spiritual ignorance, God's compassion and mercy is embedded in the law of what? Aru, which is the action, cumulative. However, there we go, truth is more powerful than ignorance, because truth has the virtue of being a reality, while what? Ignorance will always be an illusion. That's why. Thus, one instant of truth, what's this? One instant, just a glimpse of truth, has the power to what? Overcome centuries of ignorance. Wow. The dawning of enlightenment in the human mind sweeps away what? Millions of years of, again, ignorance and reincarnations and desires, etc. It is God's mercy and love which is transmitted to humanity. How? Through the work of the sages and their students, to spare people from what? The untold misery that they would otherwise have to experience in the future, being ignorant. But the wisdom of right thinking philosophy and enlightenment through what? Daily meditation dispels what? Millions of years of ignorance. Just as the light can illumine a room, even if it has been dark for millions of years, The light of self-knowledge is the truth, the power, and the glory which dispels the ignorance of egoism and the illusions which people is trapped in over countless reincarnations of the past. I mean, as long as you stay ignorant, you'll keep reincarnating until you get it right. My goal to get all right thinkers, stop the fight going back and forth, reincarnated, know thyself, and go home. That's the lesson. Hope you enjoyed it. And important, right thinkers, may you live to be 100, and me 100 minus a day. So I'll never know the right thinker like you that passed away. I'm out. Enjoy the rest of your day.